Her husband's ex made her wedding dress. How could you feel knowing that the dress you adore on your happiest day carried a curse that almost destroyed your life? That's the story of my friend, Tina. And even after everything, she still looks back in disbelief at how it all unfolded. Tina's wedding was nothing short of magical. She married the love of her life, Anthony, in a ceremony that seemed straight out of a fairy tale. She wore a stunning wedding dress designed by Picky's Apparels, an online boutique she stumbled upon. The gown was everything she had ever dreamed of: elegant, intricate, and unique. When the dress was ready, Anthony had agreed to pick it up from the designer's studio. Tina never thought much about it. After all, Anthony wasn't the type to get involved in wedding planning details. She adored the dress so much that she couldn't stop talking about it even after the wedding. During the reception, something odd happened. Tina had invited Picky, the designer, as a courtesy. When Picky arrived to congratulate the couple, Anthony's demeanor shifted. He stiffened and avoided eye contact with her. Tina noticed but brushed it off. Weddings were stressful, and she figured he was just tired. 3 years later, the joy of their union began to unravel. Tina and Anthony had no children, not even a single miscarriage. Each passing month deepened Tina's despair, but Anthony seemed oddly unbothered. Whenever she brought it up, he would say dismissively, "God's time is the best." But it wasn't just the childlessness that troubled her. Anthony's behavior toward her became unbearable. He was constantly irritable, snapping at her over the slightest things. The once loving home turned into a battlefield. "You were lucky I haven't sent you back to your mother," Anthony spat during one of their many fights. "What's the use of a wife who can't give me children?" His temper worsened over time. Once, he threatened to hit her because she accidentally overcooked his meal. Another time, he grabbed her arm so tightly that it left bruise. Tina was drowned in sorrow, but she had no one to confide in until her mother, Mama T, came for a visit. One evening, after Anthony had left for work, Mama T sat Tina down. "Tina, you can't keep living like this," she said, her voice firm. "What can I do, Mama?" Tina asked, her voice breaking. "I have prayed, I have fasted, and I've tried everything." Mama T nodded thoughtfully. Then she stood up and said, "Dress up, we are going somewhere." Tina was confused as they drove out of town. The journey was long, the roads winding and unfamiliar. "Mama, where are we going?" "You will see when we get there," Mama T replied cryptically. When they arrived, Tina was startled. The church was nothing like the modern building she was used to. It was small, with whitewashed walls and a rickety wooden doors. A large brass bell hung outside, swaying gently in the breeze. The sound of its deep sheen echoed in the quiet surroundings. Inside the church was simple, almost bare. Wooden benches lined the room. Benches that reminded Tina of the ones she had seen since childhood. The floor was made of compact red earth, and the faint smell of incense lingered in the air. The altar stood at the far end, draped in spotless white clothes. Behind it, a large wooden cross leaned against the wall. 2 brass candlesticks flanked the altar, their wax dripping, forming tiny holes at the base. The church was empty except for 3 women. They were dressed in a flowing white garment and wore chief-style cap on their heads. Each held a massive Bible, their faces serene but focused. One of the women stepped forward and introduced herself as Onyozi, the prophetess. Her voice was calm but commanding. "Welcome," she said. gesturing for them to sit on one of the benches. Tina hesitated. She wasn't sure if it was the simplicity of the place or the prophetess' piercing gaze, but she felt uneasy. "Mama, how do you even find this place?" she whispered. "Don't worry about that," Mama T replied. "Just listen to what she has to say." The prophetess began to pray, her voice rising and falling rhythmically. The two other women joined in, their voices harmonizing in a way that sent chills down Tina's spine. After a while, Onyozi turned to Tina. "Why did you allow an enemy to make your wedding dress?" she asked bluntly. Tina blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" Onyozi's expressions didn't waver. "The woman who made your dress, she's not your friend. She carried bitterness in her heart when she made that gown. She took it to a shrine and cursed it." Tina felt her stomach dropped. "Picky? She's just a designer I found online. I don't even know her." "No," Onyozi said firmly. "She's more than that. She's someone who believed she would marry your husband. She aborted a child for him and felt betrayed when he chose you. Making your dress was her opportunity for revenge. She cursed your womb and your marriage so that you would never have peace until Anthony returns to her." Tina's hand trembled. The memory of Anthony's unease when Picky came to the wedding flashed in her mind. "The dress was taken to an altar," Onyozi continued. "Sacrifices were made to ensure that your barrenness and the chaos in your home. That is why your husband has turned against you." Tears streamed down Tina's face. "What can I do?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Burn the dress," Onyozi said, "and pray. Pray as if your life depends on it, because it does." When they returned home, Tina wasted no time. She took the dress, once her most cherished possession, and burned it. As the flames consumed the fabric, she prayed fervently, her voice trembling with emotion. She spent the following weeks fasting and praying under Onyozi's guidance. Slowly, the atmosphere in her home began to change. Anthony, sensing the shift, tried to make amends, but Tina remained cautious. Months later, Tina missed her period. When the doctor confirmed her pregnancy, she cried tears of joy. Her daughter, Shizara, was born 9 months later, a beautiful reminder of God's grace. Not long after, Tina conceived again. This time, she gave birth to twin boys, Tony and Taylor. Life seemed to return to normal. They relocated to a new town, cutting all ties to their past. Picky was never mentioned again, and Tina blocked her from viewing her status. But one day, years later, fate intervened. Tina was at a mall with her 3 children when she spotted a familiar face. It was Picky. Picky's eye widened in shock as she stared at the children clinging to Tina. Tina smiled, holding her head high. "Yes," she said, her voice steady. "God is greater than all altars." Picky stood motionlessly, her mouth agape, as Tina walked away with her children, leaving her past and her enemy behind. Thank you.